Hello, algebraic thinking cohort, and happy New Year. I hope you guys had an excellent break. But let's get right back into it with quadratic equations. It's Unit 6. It's a little bit of an extension on Unit 5, which was on quadratics, but this unit you'll see digs a little bit deeper. So hopefully students will have the opportunity to really get deep into this concept of quadratics. And one of the things I really like about this unit and what it potentially offers is the potential for students to really, I guess, really dig deep into this just generally idea of parent functions, and really being able to understand what coefficients do and what different forms do when you manipulate equations. Like I really like that, and I think you'll see a little bit of that going forward. So here is the unit calendar. It's pretty densely packed, I'll fully admit, and therefore I probably in actuality consider maybe getting rid of one or two of these problems if I was really gonna go through it. I will say that I really do like this first sort of pre-problem or whatever, especially getting back into the swing of things, about the polygraph parabolas. That's a little activity from Desmos that I think is really good. It's sort of like Guess Who, but for parabolas, which is pretty clever. So, but I would definitely look through these problems and think about which ones might be more appropriate, or which one could, maybe be a quiz by itself or something like that. So maybe put that hat on while you're checking out the rest of the screencast. So here are the problems, the 8 problems. As I said, that's kind of a lot. So, um, but they're all really good. It's like it's tough to eliminate one. So, but I will say that maybe a couple of them might be worthy of just, um, instead of giving a 25 question test, maybe it could be just simply one of these problems for an exam. So maybe think about that. So the first problem is pretty straightforward. Squares are equal. The idea here is to, like I said, sort of just get students thinking about what this really means. Students could potentially solve this by graphing, by substitution, by making a data table. Lots of ways to go about this, so this hopefully will promote those sort of problem solving skills for students. Then breaking distance is a little bit more down that path and a little bit more structured perhaps, um, to give students sort of an idea of a real world application for quadratics. You potentially could blow this out a little bit into an actual lab or something like that, where you use the principal's car or something like that, and is he gonna hit the crosswalk guard or something like that if he slams on the brakes? Who knows? So definitely take a look at that, and there's some potential guiding questions there to hopefully help you out. This is a problem regarding picture frames. We've seen a little bit of that before, I think, but this one goes a little bit more deeply into that, and I like it because it's sort of in the form of an entry document, which really does allow for the know and need to know process to get going there. Then we have a sort of a purely abstract task from illustrative mathematics. I will say make sure to read the commentary on this task, just because it does sort of illuminate what the point of this task is and what students are really hoping to do. But again, it is a purely abstract task, so like this one and a couple of the others, something to be aware of. But again, maybe would provide a good opportunity for deeper learning about quadratics. This is a problem I really, really, really like. It's a system of equations problem, but instead of using two lines, which is what we normally do and what I normally did with systems, it gives you a quadratic and a line, which is I mean, I don't know, it seems straightforward and simple, but it really allows for some rich thinking to take place, and really hopefully give students a deep conceptual understanding of what does it actually mean when two lines cross, or when there's two equations. So for the students that just sort of, use the elimination method on solving systems, that's fine, but that may or may not be at your disposal here. So it actually does take a maybe more conceptual understanding of what a solution to two equations, in this case, one of which is a quadratic, it hopefully will give, I don't know, really allow for some deep connections to be made. So I love this problem. I think it sort of stands really well on its own, um, but there probably will have to be some guiding questions or hint cards or something like that to sort of get students going in the directions toward a solution. And then we have another sort of abstract task. This is sort of presented as a pattern. So students are asked to sort of link up what an expression means with a pattern, and then and sort of show why either could be correct. The idea being that these are two equivalent expressions. So the question is, why are they equivalent, sort of visually and algebraically? So another one there. Then we have a formative assessment lesson. I will say this is a little, it's a little, you have to kind of read the facilitation notes on this one pretty well ahead of time to sort of get what the problem is asking here. Um, I like the concept. I will say that the clarity of the task maybe is lacking compared to other formative assessment lessons. One of the things I usually like about them is that they're pretty darn straightforward, and this one, it's not that it's not straightforward. You may have to reread it a few times and make sure, and maybe even give it a shot on your own before going through it with students. And again, make sure you read the facilitation notes and the questions and things like that. And then the last thing, we have our IACT for the unit, the business of charity. It's students are asked to make a model about a charity event, and based on limited tickets and the amount of costs and things like that. So this will be a chance for disciplinary writing for the unit. And you'll note that 3 days are given to this problem, this last problem, the business of charity. So there may have to be some modification there based on the need for other things happening earlier in the unit. So good luck, and we'll see you on the discussion board.